What is up, studs, and welcome to Ask About episode 366, Leap Day edition. On this episode, we're going to be talking more about the Hot Tub Stormtrooper, the potential return of DARTH REVAN, exactly how many 327th battle packs have sold for $45 each, a LEGO conspiracy theory, that was a lot, and much more to come. If you guys have a question or topic for next week's episode, drop in the comments section down below so an Apple employee-looking guy like myself can answer it. Like, I feel like if I walked in an Apple store like this and they were all also wearing their blue shirts, I'm getting approached for sure.
Well, he doesn't actually work here.
I've been working for 3 months now.
Anyway, first question from Frameworks Photo. He says, will you be army building the Hot Tub Stormtrooper? And the simple answer to this, of course, is yes. No, I'm not going to be army building a minifig that is exclusive to a $1,000 set. I ain't got that kind of money, and I also have no interest in doing that. Even if it was, let's say, in a battle pack, you know? It's the type of minifig that, hey, maybe I do want a couple more of. Maybe I want 3 of them, because in my head I can visualize a few of them sitting in hot tubs, not just one at a time. So I am kind of disappointed that they are only including one in the set, but I also think that the set will only be able to hold one in its tiny little hot tub wherever it's hidden. But that's besides the point. I really don't have an interest in army building it, and I hope no one else does, because I think even if you want one of them and you're not going to buy the $1,000 Death Star, these are going to be prohibitively expensive. I mean, and that happens with figures. I'm not, some figures are rarer than others. I don't see an inherent issue with that. It just happens sometimes. It just sucks if you want that figure, of course. But I think the 2025 Hot Tub Stormtrooper is going to be one of the most expensive figures that we have seen in recent years for a couple of reasons. It's probably the most sought after figure in this set. It's also in the most expensive set that they've ever released, like clearly $1,000. I've never done that before. And then you have to consider the fact that most people that are buying this Death Star are buying it and going to keep the figures, right? The scalper thing where people buy sets and sell all the figures and then get upset about the value of them, that generally doesn't actually exist. Like, there's people like that, of course. There's going to be someone for everything someone's upset about. But that's generally not a thing you see out there. Like, there aren't going to be a ton of people on day one buying the Death Star just to sell that Hot Tub Stormtrooper. It's not going to happen. The problem the community will run into is there will be such an extremely limited supply of this figure with a price that I imagine would be around $200 to $300 for this figure. I'm not going to be shocked when that's the price, because people are going to really want that figure. It's a really cool figure, really unique figure, and there's going to be, of course, hardly anybody selling it, because most of the people that buy the set as a set that is very minifigure driven, I mean, you look back to something like the UCS Venator, that set can stand on its own very nicely without figures, but the figures, of course, are great to have. But some people would buy a set like that and not care about the Rex or the Yularen, and they would just sell them when they got it, right? This is not going to be a case like that. This set needs its figures to look good, look cool. You can't just have it be empty. And so having figures like the Hot Tub Stormtrooper there are going to be integral to the experience, and I just don't see a lot of people going out to sell it. So if you are looking to buy that Hot Tub Stormtrooper when the set comes out, I wouldn't recommend it, although I don't see a path for the price to come down outside of 2 specific scenarios, because I otherwise don't see it coming in another set. Like, this is, in my opinion, going to be something that remains exclusive to the Death Star, outside of them including it in one of those European foil bags, which I don't think they've done with a UCS figure before, and certainly not dual molded legs for Star Wars. And so, like, they're already stingy enough on dual molded legs. You think they're just going to give them away for free in a foil bag in Europe? I doubt it. Not impossible, but I doubt it. And then, of course, the other avenue is theft. If the Mexico factory is making these figures and a bunch of people are stealing them and selling them behind closed doors, all of a sudden there'd be a bunch of extra Hot Tub Stormtroopers on the market, which, of course, would be through, questionable means. Theft is bad, hot take there. But it would drive the price down and make them a little bit more accessible than they would have been otherwise. Obviously, the level to which would depend on how many are getting out of the factory, which I also believe would be kind of Lego's doing after 10 years of it happening. They're kind of letting that happen, but that's besides the point. Death Star Stormtrooper, no army for me. Even if you want one, I think it's going to be crazy expensive. Next question from Tabletop Studio 66. He says, do you think the Lego group excluded printed pieces and dual molded legs, etc., so they could put the most cost into the actual Death Star so that it can be the biggest model possible? Look, I've been on record many a time saying that I don't mind the stickers in a lot of cases as long as the colors match, which also in a lot of cases they don't, so I do mind them. But the concept of Lego using stickers over prints, I am, of course, open to. Now, when it comes to the dual molded legs, we're talking about a difference of like $2 here, man. At most, because on Lego Bricks and Pieces, it's like 50 cents for these parts, which really means it costs Lego at most 10 cents to make. So it's really like a 50-cent difference on the entire production cost of their set. So, I mean, no, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that they just happened to exclude the dual molded legs because they needed to put this extra dollar into the Death Star's part count, right? Like, that didn't happen. They're just being stingy. They're trying to increase their profits as much as possible. I mean, that's the simple answer here. We're trying to think too deeply about this. They're just being greedy and cheap, and that is what it is, and it's unfortunate, but that's the reality. So no, I don't think that. But I mean, I guess it is an opinion at the end of the day, but I really don't think that. Next, from the Microwave, he says, why do Death Star 1 sets keep including the Emperor's throne room that never showed up in A New Hope? I guess the other point of controversy on this new Death Star is that includes Darth Vader's meditation chamber, and that was never on the Death Star, apparently, or never shown on the Death Star. It was only on the Super Star Destroyer, but I guess it theoretically could have been on the Death Star, but interesting one there. But back to the Emperor's throne room, I think you're missing the point with these Death Star sets. They are not intended to be a singular representation of the Death Star as it was in A New Hope. They have always been a combination of the two here. Like, you've got A New Hope and you've got Return of the Jedi, and they've got scenes from both of them. They've got minifigs from both of them. That has happened in all three cases of the playset Death Stars, and that's just how it is, right? That's just the best way for them to do that, because they're not going to make a Death Star 1 version of this and a Death Star 2 version of this. That's silly. It would never happen. And so just combining them makes the most sense. And I don't see anything wrong with LEGO combining things the way that they have in a set like this. It absolutely makes the most sense to do it this way. It's kind of like a love letter to the Death Stars, not like, oh, here's this perfect representation of this Death Star, right? And so I kind of think to something like the UCS gunship, where I wanted more out of the figures from different movies, and people are like, oh, you can't combine them. Like, they combine stuff all the time. You just are pretending that they can't all of a sudden. But yeah, no, this is a great case of that. The reason is just because they want to include all of the cool scenes from the Death Stars, not just let's limit ourselves to Death Star 1. Next, from Max K, says, what is your opinion on the theory of LEGO, quote, pricing out the community, end quote, to keep up with production? For example, the $160 MTT sells less, but keeps the average production rate normal while still maintaining higher margins. And I think this makes a lot of sense. It's a really good theory. It was brought up by Crazy Dog 17, and I watched the video just before this just so I could know what I was talking about. And yeah, I mean, great video, well thought through, and made a lot of sense. I mean, if you know anything about economics and knew what charts he was showing, like basically if you've taken a high school economics class, you'll understand what he's talking about. And he laid it out very simply. LEGO can't really increase supply, so they're decreasing demand while raising the price. And so I believe that should lead to either the same or higher profits for them, which I guess we'll see when their annual report comes out next year. We'll know the results of this year-long experiment. It's probably been happening longer, right? But of course, there's also what I heard, I suppose as Michael Scott would say, through the grapevine, that the LEGO, I guess, bean counter team heard that this Star Wars wave specifically for summer of 2025 was very much a fan wave of a bunch of fan-demanded sets, and so they increased all of the prices by 10, 20, 30% or whatever kind of arbitrary number they threw out there, and just to see how well it would sell, because they knew it would sell anyway, and so they were kind of taking advantage in fans that way, because I think the idea of them pricing out the community is not like a Star Wars specific thing. If it's all about like keeping up with production for factories, like they could easily like slow down LEGO Dreams and increase LEGO Star Wars, right? Also, the other interesting takeaway from that, if it's true, 40 to 50% adult fan base or consumer base, that makes a lot of sense to me. I'm tired of people saying it's kids' toys. Like, it's just not. LEGO and LEGO Star Wars specifically is very much changed, and 40 to 50% being adults makes a lot of sense to me as far as their consumer base goes. I wish the product reflected that a little bit better, not in the sense of like they make 18 plus sets, but in the sense of like making all of the sets have good quality. The Bird says, what are your thoughts on Darth Revan's appearance in the new Rebuild the Galaxy series trailer? Will this lead to Revan being more accessible in the future? After all, LEGO like to recycle, so it's not like they have to make a new one. Love the content, keep it up. So you're implying that you think LEGO would make the same Darth Revan that they did over 10 years ago, and that is just not going to be the case. If and when LEGO does eventually make a new Darth Revan, it will, unless they're doing some weird anniversary throwback thing, not be the same design. It'll still be Darth Revan, but it will be updated. It will be different. It'll probably have footprinting or something. And they're not going to copy this exact design. They would change up the lines on it in subtle ways. And there would just be, I'm sure, something that would be just obnoxiously wrong. Like the designers love to get things wrong on minifigs that were right back in 2014. So I'm sure we'd have something like that too. But they will not just recycle the same design. They don't do that. At least they don't do that like going back that far, right? Like, of course, within certain eras, like they'll keep releasing the same Stormtrooper or they'll keep releasing the same Darth Vader. But maybe Jango Fett's a good example, a figure we last saw in 2017, right? Could they have used the same Jango Fett design and added arm printing? Sure, but they don't do that. They always make a new design after it's been, I don't know if there's some number of years line in the sand, but this is definitely past that. It would be a different figure. So will this lead to Darth Revan being in like a Rebuild the Galaxy set? Well, as of now, I don't think we're going to be seeing any more Rebuild the Galaxy sets come 2026. There's none rumored. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen there. So the question then becomes like, does this push them to make the figure in some other way from the Old Republic, or as maybe an anniversary figure coming up in a few years or something like that. I mean, potentially it has some small bit of influence on that, but I still think Darth Revan, regardless of whether or not he appeared in this Rebuild the Galaxy show, was going to be remade again at some point. We will see him again somewhere, someday, whether that's next year or 5 years from now or 10 years from now. I think we also see a variant of Queen Amidala in the background of one of the posters. I don't know if she's in the trailer or not. I didn't watch it. I'm not going to watch the show, so I don't really care. Like, if you guys haven't seen my story on what Lego did to me in reference to this show, I will just never watch it because of that, unless they make it up to me somehow, but clearly not going to happen. Probably not get invited to the season 2 premiere either, right? But we also see Queen Amidala in one of the posters and trailers, and so, like, obviously fans have wanted that figure. I don't think the figure being in this particular show will have any bearing on Lego making or not making the figure in the future. I certainly don't hope they make the Rebuild the Galaxy version, because I think it's a weird looking version. Like, they need to just keep it standard with the Phantom Menace, and I certainly think they will. Just throwing that out there, that I don't want that particular version. I think it's also important to remember that this show is made by someone that is a fan of Lego Star Wars, and clearly a fan of MandR Productions. That's probably Lego's worst nightmare right there.
I'm your worst nightmare, pal.
And so they include things like Darth Revan and Queen Amidala, even if Lego themselves wouldn't make the figure this year, next year, or at some point, right? They will make another Queen Amidala, another Darth Revan, but will it happen right now because of this? I don't think so. So I hope that answers your question. Nico says, what is your opinion on people turning towards total knockoff variants of recent Lego Star Wars sets with concern for the pricing? For example, getting the knockoff for 30 to 50% of the original retail. They appear to have gotten shamelessly accurate for the pure build/play experience. And yeah, it's been a long time that knockoffs have been creating basically one-to-one rebuilds of Lego Star Wars sets. Now, there are also some examples where they make very odd knockoffs that aren't necessarily one-to-one builds of the set. But look, I used to be a shameless Lego purism shill. Like, if you collected knockoffs, I looked at you as a lesser person, basically. I hated knockoffs. I've made, if you've seen old videos on my channel, it's been a while since I've done something like this. I probably should do some more stuff because it's kind of fun. But like, I would burn knockoffs. I would destroy them. I would make videos showing how bad they were. And then one day, Lego came along and kicked me out of their ambassador program for saying that I might promote knockoff sets because Lego made me really upset. And I was like, I was pissed at something. And I was just like, dude, this is ridiculous. I'm just going to promote knockoff sets instead. And then they're like, all right, you're out of here. Just think of the way an umpire throws a batter out of a game for just saying, oh, that was a ball when the umpire called a strike. It was that kind of situation, in my opinion.
And that's a no-no. You're gone. The first Seattle Mariner.
But essentially, ever since then, I stopped caring about how people collect their stuff, whether they want to collect genuine Lego pieces or knockoff Lego pieces. I don't care. More power to you. I have no vested interest in it. Like, if it saves you money and you are just as happy with the end product, that is a great result for you if you're out there buying knockoff sets. Like, the 2007 MTT is a version that I have a knockoff of that I bought for a TikTok shop video that I was going to do about knockoffs on there. And dude, I'll tell you, that knockoff is really dang close to the real one. Like, I can't tell them apart when I'm further than 5 feet away, maybe. Like, you can still tell. Like, I know that it's not real, but like, it becomes very hard to tell. And the difference in money that you would spend on the official Lego version new and sealed box versus the knockoff version is like 10x. And so if you're going out there and you just want that 2007 MTT model and you don't want to pay the premium eBay price that you would have to pay otherwise, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Or even in cases like with some of these summer sets, like the Tiny Tank or the MTT for $160, maybe you can get a knockoff one. I don't know if knockoffs are on the market yet, but you could potentially get a knockoff one out there for $50, $60, $70, and that makes a ton of sense. I mean, I recently did a video on a knockoff custom, however you want to call it, UTAT, and that set was eye-opening. The retail price on that one is about $60 US, and then of course shipping, but that's $100 less than the Tiny Tank, and it's a bigger model with over 1,000 more pieces. It's insane what some of these other companies are able to do when they aren't Lego trying to potentially price people out or take advantage of customers like we have seen and discussed with the previous questions. So yeah, personally, I don't really care how people want to collect their stuff. I used to be a Lego purism shill. Lego, did what they did, and now I just don't care. Anyway, next from Brian, he says, with Ayla Sakura, Kiadi Mundi, Jango Fett, and Plo Koon all being currently produced, might next year be an opportune time for Lego to bleed these figures into a Master Builder Series Geonosis arena? What's funny is your question immediately reminded me of the way that NASA will like time their launches so that the planet Mars is the closest it will be for the next 8 years. And right now is probably the closest we have been to a Master Builder Series Geonosis arena stars aligning since like 2017, where we also had Ayla Sakura, Kiadi Mundi, and Jango Fett. We didn't have Plo Koon at the time, but we did also have the clone troopers that would have made it work. I think the Geonosis droids weren't being produced at that point, but we had some other stuff that made the stars align well at that time. And so when you put it this way, the stars definitely feel like they could be aligning for a 2026 Master Builder Series Geonosis Arena. I would still have all of my money on the next actual Master Builder Series set being an Endor set, but your theory here isn't crazy, because they would, of course, want to take advantage of reducing how many different things they have to produce at the same time. The only other caveat I have to this idea is that the Death Star is coming out, and while it is officially going to be called an Ultimate Collector Series, it is effectively a Master Builder Series because it's got 38 different minifigures, and typically LEGO is only selling one set like that at a time. So I was going to say, if we go back about 10 years, we get Hoth, and then once Hoth retires, we get Bespin, and then once Bespin retires, we get Mos Eisley, and now that Mos Eisley is retired, we get the Death Star. But that kind of leaves out the other component, that the 2016 Death Star came out the same year as Hoth and was available on shelves alongside Hoth, Bespin, and the Mos Eisley Cantina. So it's not impossible that we could see Master Builder Series sets on shelves alongside a large Death Star UCS set, because we already had that happen. I like this idea more and more every second. Oh my goodness. I doubt it. I still really doubt it. I still think Endor's got to be it next. But seeing those minifigs there, and hey, maybe we start to see some rumors pop out for summer of 2026, and they start to look like there's a couple more figures that could be used, I wouldn't be surprised then. We're still a little far away from that, I think, but yeah, it's not impossible. I almost ruled it out, but I think we have precedence of something similar happening, and this could happen. I just don't think it will, but I hope it does. Flux Fusion says, have you seen on Target's website, it shows over 12,000 sold of the 327th Battle Pack, ... And I think that ... says a lot there without saying anything. I think he's disappointed in the high feeling sales number of the 327th Battle Pack. Now, Amazon has been doing exactly this for quite a while now, where they'll show the sales numbers for the last month, but their data isn't in yet, probably not until September 1st, when an actual month has passed of the set being available. But Target has already put their data up, like their running data, and so actually it's gone up 1,000. It's now up to 13,327 Battle Packs sold in the last month from Target alone. Now, we don't know if this is just Target.com or Target.com and Target stores. I am inclined to believe they would combine both metrics to be one, so we will go on that assumption because I get to decide here. We use the Dark Falcon as an example. It looks like Amazon has sold 1,000 in the past month and Target has sold 4,000. That is actually absurd that Target is outselling them by that much on just that particular set. Let's see, Jedibob Starfighter says 700 on Amazon. There's no way. Target has got to be fudging these numbers, dude. That's a lot for Target. And I don't think Target's had like a crazy good sale on either of these sets. So that has to include the store numbers, or Target is lying. Because I thought Amazon was a much bigger seller of LEGO than Target, but maybe I'm wrong. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. 13,327 Battle Packs in about 19 days here. And that feels like a really big number, but we have nothing to compare it to. Like the original 501st Battle Pack, for all we know, had sold 50,000 in the first month because it sold out everywhere and was impossible to get. The 327th Battle Pack, on the other hand, not sold out. Very easy to get. You can find it at any of your stores, very likely. Really, at my core, I feel like the sales numbers are not that crazy high. I feel like 13,000 is a lot. It is a big number to you and I, but really to LEGO, it might be half of what they were hoping for, or half of what they would normally get on a set like this. I just think that the price is too high and the quality is too bad. There's just no way these are the sales numbers we would see if the set was better and the set was cheaper. I mean, we saw what's happened in the past with battle packs that they make that are good. This is not one of them. Of course, there are people out there that are going to still buy sets. We are going to see numbers when the Amazon numbers come in. We're going to see numbers in the thousands sold, but the important thing, of course, is to try to remember that it's relative to whatever else has been sold in the past, and it's probably not as good. There's no way it's as good. There's no way they are selling more of these than 501st Battle Packs, or more of these than even though I don't like the helmet holes and the clones, it is objectively a better and more fair value Battle Pack with the clone and droid Battle Pack from 2024. Like, they definitely had to have sold more of those, right, than they are selling of these in that same time span. There's just no way. So I look at it, and I know it's a big number, but I just don't think that it really is a number that is super crazy high. Next from Wyatt, he says, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the LEGO Fall 2025 catalog magazine I got had the entire August wave except the turbo tank. I don't know when LEGO makes their catalog, but it might be an indication that they know it's bad. The catalog also does not have K2SO, because I actually looked at the same catalog and thought the same thing. And then I was like, no, that's only 8 of the 9 sets, and I realized it was K2SO that is also missing. So I don't think this is a turbo tank specific, like, hey, we hate this set, so we're not putting it in there. But I also remember when the 501st Battle Pack came out, I don't think they ever put that in a shop at home catalog. If I'm wrong, please let me know, because I need that for my collection, but I'm pretty sure I never saw that in there. So they do weird things like that every once in a while. It's very odd that they wouldn't put the whole Summer Wave in there, though. I do agree, but I wouldn't think anything of it. But it also probably does mean they think it's bad, because why else would you not put what you obviously think is a really cool set at $160 in your catalog? I don't know. I don't think it means anything. They probably just don't put everything in those catalogs these days. I certainly didn't look at other themes and try to cross-reference and see how they treated those, right? But I imagine they don't get a ton of sales from those catalogs these days, so they're probably just throwing it out there just to throw it out there, and they don't really care. But I do wish they included everything like the good old days, you know? Everything matters with Lego, and you can see with little things like this that they don't think everything matters. And that's where cracks in a company like this, I think, are starting to form, and it's sad. Next, from Ninja Trains, or New Jersey Trains, he says, did you see the leaker that built the Lego set in Minecraft so he didn't get in trouble? I did. He built the new Nike basketball set in Minecraft to show the leak version of the set, but not actually show it. And we've seen stuff like this before with drawings, like we've seen of the new X-Wing that's coming out next year, but also, I think all the way back to the Rogue One wave, somebody did a drawing of all of the sets in the back of the instruction manual, and that was pretty funny at the time. So we've seen stuff like that before, but that one specifically in Minecraft might be the first time I've seen a Minecraft leak build. Ladini says, with a $500 budget, should I buy Rivendell or the Avengers Tower? Look, I've had them both fantastic sets, like them both a lot, but Rivendell is a classy set. Really just a classy feeling set. It's a whole vibe. Would recommend doing Rivendell. Andre says, you should make the every minifigure videos like Brick Vault used to make them. They get millions and millions of views, and you already got almost every minifig and don't use them for anything. Hey! They look wonderful in their cases. The only downside of your video idea is the amount of pain and suffering it takes to get those figures out of the cases and then remember where they got to go back into the cases. That sounds like a horrible time. Otherwise, I love the video idea. I've wanted to do actually videos like that for a long time, and it's been a long time since I think Brick Vault has made a lot of them, so it wouldn't hurt to do kind of updated versions on them. Also, while on the topic of Brick Vault, I didn't know, I think they sold their channel. Apparently it happened a while ago, but I had no idea, so it was just kind of new information to me. So if anyone's trying to buy my channel, hit me up.
59, I have it, $60,
I'm joking, but yeah, I love the video idea, and that's something that I would definitely love to get going as a series, probably in 2026. I got to figure out how that would work and what the best cadence for that is, but maybe once a month would be cool with a series like that. But finally, from STEM Vlogs, he says, who is your biggest op at the Lego group? I gotta say, it's probably